o'clock, we will call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will convene to executive session tonight to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility under Wisconsin statutes 19.85, paren 1, paren C, to consider high school track and field assistant coaches, custodial bus maintenance position, and high school special education aide. With that, we have two presentations tonight, and we'll begin with Colleen Tim from CC7. Mr. Lutke, would you like to introduce her?
Colleen is the executive director of CC7. She entered that role July 1, but she previously had been working at CC7, and prior to that, she was superintendent of Ishikot.
Well, thank you. Thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time, and I'll take just a few minutes of your time. Sue, of course, on your board is also the president of our board at CC7, so we get some updates on what's happening. I've been around Sevastopol for a while, probably 10, 11, 12 years ago. I was here and interviewed all of your board members and all of your administrators for my dissertation. So I studied high-achieving rural school districts that had achieved increases in both literacy and math at least 3 years in a row. So you were one of those rural high exceeding expectations districts that I studied. So tonight, just to tell you a little bit about CC7, you are a member of CC7. There are 12 CCs in the state. We exist through statute. We serve 38 school districts in this region, about 90,000 students, about 8,000 educators, everything from Washington Island to Green Bay, down to Random Lake, Howard's Grove, and everything in between coming up. One of the services that we provide, your traditional core academic subjects we support, as well as career college life readiness. Sevastopol's been doing a really nice job getting into the career college life readiness the last few years, and I think you're going to see some great things continue to happen for your students here. Nice investment in your facilities to support that has been wonderful to see, and you have a good team leading that work. And so we come alongside your staff, help to make sure you're maximizing your Act 59 dollars as students get those industry recognized credentials, making sure that each student is next level ready as they go through the grades and that they're graduating with a diploma by design. So in the flyer that I have for you, there are a couple of QR codes. You can put your camera from your phone on that and learn a little bit more. In addition to those services, a big one that we help districts with is licensing for staff. You know the shortage of teachers has really been a complex issue for districts to solve. And there are multiple ways to enter the field. We come alongside your team and help that, whether you have somebody from industry who wants to come in, somebody who has a bachelor's degree but not an education credential, or they're certified in a particular area and you want to add licensure. We can help your team with those kinds of things. So a variety of services, the compliance work that DPI asks you to do based on legislation that's passed, as well as your own school improvement goals. We're really honored to be your partner. We've been working with your team here the last few years that I've been with CC7. You're doing great work. Congratulations on another round of good report cards. And we just look forward to continuing to serve you as you strive to meet the unique needs of your community and provide excellence in education to all of the kids who go through here. So thanks for choosing us to be the partner, and we're happy at any time to help out and answer any questions. Any questions or?
Yeah. What connections do you have with DPI as far as testing goes? And do you have any influence on developing the testing procedure or the test itself?
For the exams that you just took, no, you don't have any. That's part of the compliance work. So that is going to be passed through legislation, and then they enact the work rules to carry it out, and then they basically tell us and you how to do it. So they give us training to support your district, but we don't have anything to do with what the test is, or no influence on that. Okay. We'll keep working on it for you, but right now, not yet. Yeah.
In the post-COVID world, you see as CESA 7s or as the regions, one or two biggest challenges?
Well, one of the things we were just talking about was the mental health needs of students, and I would say of staff. I was at another board meeting recently where they were talking about the high incidence of absence of staff. And certainly we continue to hear about the behaviors and the needs of students. So that's a big part of it. And then I think part of it is resetting. So, you know, where did we land after COVID, and how are we situated in accordance with the goals that we want to achieve? So we're doing tons of work on math and literacy. And a big part of that is because you're seeing teachers come into the field in so many different ways. A big change in our model is from the days we used to come to a workshop and that was it, where now we usually come into the district, provide professional development training, and then we go into the classrooms and observe and provide specific feedback to the teachers, so that ongoing coaching to bring the skills along.
Is that going into the classrooms, is that independently requested by schools, or do you go to all the schools within the CESA to do that?
It looks different in every school because it's really about what the needs are in your particular district, but we are in the vast majority. I would say 33 out of the 38 school districts in the...
Because I mean, what the benefit, right, in the CESA is you see the trends through all the schools,
Yep.
and then you're able to bring maybe better recommendations to those recommended improvements, because you're not saying our 40 kids in 6th grade, you're seeing
Yep.
all the kids.
Yep, so whether that's behaviors, whether it's the materials that are being used to teach the courses, whether it's the strategies that are being employed, you're exactly right. I mean, we keep up on what are all the trends. We get our training from DPI. Each of my people belongs to their professional associations, so they're getting the latest training. But then we look, for instance, we started getting into the science of reading, in part because of what we were seeing happening in our districts, and knew that we needed to take a stronger lead in that area, so yes.
I hope our lack of questions doesn't seem of disinterest, because Sue gives us a report every month
Oh, that's fantastic.
about what's, you know, what CESA's
Yep.
doing that month.
Yep.
And I know that our district has used different services by
Yeah.
CESA often, and we hear about those at our board meetings. So our lack of questions isn't disinterest, it's just that we're pretty informed.
Yes, thank you. And every board is different. Sometimes I go and they have no questions, so every board is different.
All right, she started it. So,
Kyle's like,
you're
come
set
on.
up by a statute, right? So
Yes.
your funding comes out of the state budget?
We actually, interestingly enough, get no funding. At one time, CESA's did, but it currently we get no state funding. So each district pays a fee based on your student enrollment to belong to your CESA. It's pretty nominal. And then the rest of what we get are contracts and grants that we apply for with the state. So we get it, but it's not a guarantee, right? We have to apply for those and get those. Other grants that we apply for, and then our contracts with the districts. So we are an entrepreneurial organization. Some states are fully funded. Michigan is fully funded I say fully funded like a school district. I know you're not, but you know, in comparison to what we are. So we're completely entrepreneurial. So it really matters if we have good customer service and our districts want to continue to choose us.
Right, so that's a neat structure. So are you finding certain areas within your CESA that are not getting it out of the park more? So that's because all the schools want that benefit because it truly is helpful, and then that's an inner reflection to say no one really wants this help, either that it's not an issue in the schools, or we could improve that. I guess that's.
Yeah.
Well, that and each CESA has a specialty area too.
Yeah.
CESA 7 is known for licensing,
Mm-hmm.
and a different CESA might be known for something else.
Yeah.
So we could bring another CESA in to help us with something, if that was their specialty, is that what that was?
Right.
Which we did with CESA 6 to do our Fund 73.
Right, there,
Or
yeah.
have fun, and that's what CESA 6 is known for. But
Yeah.
do that.
CESA 10 does facilities kind of work if you were going to have somebody come in and look at something. So they tend to have their own. But you're absolutely right. If we have people that are not buying a service, then we have to look at it and say, is that a need for us to continue to? And we've grown in the year I've been there. We have gone 2.5 times our size in learning services and added a complete career college life readiness department. And that's all based on going out and talking with you. I come around and talk to all the superintendents, talk to the curriculum director, special ed directors, principals, see what they need, and we're developing services that meet your need. Our goal isn't to sell stuff for the sake of selling, it's to provide services that you really need and that are going to help you achieve your goals.
I have one more question that's probably hard to answer is, do you see the trend of education is on the rise or the decline in Wisconsin? And I go back to, like, when I graduated 100 years ago, Wisconsin was leading the country. You know, I was lucky. I went out and traveled the world, and from Wisconsin. It was awesome. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure we're the top anymore. And I'm just curious, but I don't track that all that close.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious on your visibility with CISA 7. And I only ask that because I think this is a great group here. We're always pushing hard in the peers. We're trying to do the right things. And the staff, I would say the same for them. But it's, you know, I'm always looking for, let's not sit back and relax and kick back and we got her to lick, because I don't think we do. Other countries are blowing us away for some reason.
Yeah, I think one of the areas where Wisconsin has really taken a good step forward in the last couple of years is in the career college life readiness. So it started with a movement called Redefining Ready at the national level, and then we brought that to the state of Wisconsin. So again, you guys are doing a nice job in that. So you are going to see, if you look at, I think it's still page 8 of your report card. I didn't look at that page this year. I just looked at yours earlier, but I didn't look at your page 8. But if you go in there and look, it starts to have your CTE scores in there. It's not part of the overall score of your report card, but the data is on there. And I think that what we're doing in career college technical education is so critically important because it's connecting kids to their purpose. And if we look at why is there quiet quitting, why do people leave their jobs? It's not even about money, it's not about your commute and all those kinds of things, about how connected you are to the purpose. Well, same thing happens with kids. And I've seen it from my time in Mishkat, which was the lowest scoring school for 17 years in Manitowoc County in their comparison schools, to one of the top 52 in the state. And part of that was all the work of getting kids connected to their purpose. So you see attendance go up, you see behaviors go down, you see your test scores go up, you see your course grades go up, and kids graduate with, when they go across stage clock, they can tell you what they're going to do tomorrow, right? And I think that helps to, suddenly, you know, kids who hate English class, English makes sense because I'm getting college credit for it, I'm getting dual credit, it's going to lead to this industry recognized credential in the career path that I'm on. So I think working backward from that is how we're going to, I mean, I think if you look at what happened after Act 10 and whatever your opinions are, that we lost a lot of experience in the state of Wisconsin, and it set us back when we lost that much talent in the state. And I think, you know, to some degree, we're still recovering for that, because I was talking with a teacher yesterday. Her daughter is going to school to be a teacher, and they met somebody, and what are you going to school to be a teacher? Oh my God, don't go to school to be a teacher. So we've made it really unattractive to be a teacher, and we're bringing people in that don't have the pedagogy. You can have all the content in the world, but pedagogy is a struggle. I think, you know, we're on a reset from doing that, working backward. Let's get kids in the high school connected to their purpose, then let's take that to the 30,000 foot at middle school, not square pegs and round holes at that age, but what do you even think you might want to do? What do you aspire to do? What gets you excited? Let's start getting those kids and working backward from there. The reading and writing and the math, I think a lot of that takes care of itself when kids are connected to school. And then if you look at what's happening with your youngest reading, writing, math, you can make predictions on how those kids, you can look at your 4-year-old kindergartners and know how they're going to be reading in 3rd grade and performing in math in 5th grade, and know if they're going to be on target in 11th grade to graduate on time. So, you know, let's develop our pathway backward by design, get kids connected to purpose.
Just one last question. Really the last question.
Yeah.
So the way you explain the structure of your funding source, which are the districts, so then theoretically, CISA is responsible to the districts as opposed to DPI? Because usually whoever pays the piper gets called to.
Yeah, and in that sense, it's both. Because they give us money for certain things, and we certainly know we have to toe the line on those things. And then we come out and you are our customers, yes. So it's really both. You're a bigger customer in part because we have people that will actually buy staff from us. We have districts that will buy 23 support staff members from us. They buy a lot of special education services. You can't get an audiologist, a speech and language person, a deaf and hard of hearing person. So our biggest contracts are with our districts, yes.
you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks again for the time. Appreciate
So,
it.
did you, were you before Steve Crummell or after Steve Crummell in Michigan?
I was right after him. Great story about Steve. Just before Christmas break, he was leaving because he was retiring before he came here. And it was kind of, the hall was kind of dark, and he put those keys in my hand, and I have 2 boys, and he said, you have 2 kids, and now you have 3, and this one will keep you busier. And he's right. A school keeps you busier as superintendent. I'm sure Kyle can tell you than your kids do, but it's a great story. I loved him dearly and miss him.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Safe travels because it's snowing out there.
Thank you. I'm going to stick around for your meeting, learn a little bit more about you.
Oh, preferred. Okay, we will hear from our physical education and health department. Does anybody want to introduce them, or they're on their own?
Well, okay, Jen Wiesner and Lindsay DeYoung. Jen teaches the elementary FIED, and then Lindsay DeYoung does health and physical education, middle school and high school. Ron Frank is at a first aid and CPR class tonight because he's coaching basketball, or coaches all need to be certified. So the class is at 5 o'clock tonight, so he's at the hospital with that.
Yeah, so we were going to start with a little joke. We weren't sure if humor's allowed, but we were going to let you know that Ron did the whole slide presentation. So if you know Ron, you know he doesn't even know what the slide presentation looks like. So yes, I'm Jen Wiesner. I do 4K through 5th grade FIED this year, and Lindsay and Ron both do middle school and high school. So we do a lot of work to make sure that we collaborate across the board and we know what's happening from spot to spot. So we have a really seamless transition from 5th grade to 6th grade, and a really seamless transition from 8th grade to 9th grade.
Just one addition, I also teach adaptive FIED, so that populations of students is included in our curriculum to make sure that their needs are met in their individual ways to give them a great experience being exposed to physical education and what works for them. As we create our curriculum, make changes throughout the year, all of our curriculum is based on the Wisconsin state standards for physical education. They're all broke down for each grade, and we make sure that we are hitting all of those standards K through 12 as we teach our lessons.
So this was our inspiration for how we develop our curriculum. We decided to go back in time to what FIED used to look like. We don't do a lot of that anymore, but if anyone...
We used to have to climb the ropes.
I was going to say, if you remember the old gymnasium here, we used to climb the rope and touch the rafter and climb back down and fight. That was after the 10 laps around the little yellow circle.
Things have changed. Physical education is a lot of things. These are the things that it's not. We don't just roll up the balls. It's not super competitive. It doesn't just allow students to blow off steam. We don't keep students happy by letting them pick their teams, keeping the students busy, and just giving prep time for teachers. It's so much more than that.
What it is a ton of planning to make sure that we address the needs of our students so that we're doing a ton of motor planning and motor development. There is a lot to be said about how a student moves and functions and how they do academically in their desks. So in elementary school, we do a lot of talking about having a strong body, being able to move your body so that your brain's going to work better, leaving my room so that you're ready to listen and learn. So we try to connect constantly for these kiddos to realize that they're just in a different learning environment and that their abilities to move their body, being able to go cross center, cross the set midline, do all of those things, has a direct impact on how well they learn in the classroom. We do a ton of cooperation and team building, so it's not always about which team won. In fact, 99% of the time in elementary, they don't even know at the end because it ends and I go, okay, let's clean up and go on to the next thing. And they're like, wait, we were still counting to see who had the most. Tons of talk about personal health and fitness. So we have taken the fitnessgram, which in some states is mandated. It is not, we don't have to do it in our physical education program, but it's a really great basis for our kids to see growth. So we do that. I started in 1st grade, and we go all the way through to 12th grade, and we use it as a way to show them how they're doing. So we don't just at the end of the year in April go, great kids, we're ready to run the mile. Get on the line and they all look at you. So devastated. So we're doing planks, we're doing pull-up tests. We've got pull-up bands in elementary. They are thrilled to be able to do a pull-up because they can put their foot in a band and they can do 30. I do have, your children are in an argument right now because your youngest daughter can do 20 pull-ups with a pull-up band, but her sister insisted that's not a real pull-up. So I set her straight the next day. I said, you tell your sister this is how you build muscle memory. And she said, okay. We do a lot of strategic thinking. How do you evade? How do you get away? How do you change a game if I change the rules? So we'll play a game and then all of a sudden I'll blow the whistle and say, now you can't do this. And then they have to figure out what does that mean. And then growth mindset. This is awful, I can't do this. Nothing is awful and you can do anything. So let's challenge yourself. You can be frustrated, but you need to find success. And then deliberately practicing those skills. Like I said, kind of with our fitness thing, we do pre-test, post-test strength building all year long.
Just a visual, physical education is just way more than exercise. We could probably add 50 more words on there, but our class really is the best class of the day.
So what I did is just I'm not going to read these to you, but I take all of my 4K through 5th grade and break them down so that they're building blocks for every step. So my 4K and kindergarten kiddos, they're learning all their gross motor skills. They don't have to know how to skip until 2nd grade based on the standards, but by the time they leave 4K, 99% of those kiddos will skip because it's part of their warm-up every day and they just stop thinking about it and they do it. So we work on running and how to move in a space and be safe, and then we build moving down so that we're working on personal responsibility, adding some other challenges, and then when we get into 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we're really getting into how do I look at how I'm doing fitness-wise? Am I getting stronger? How do I work with different kids? What happens when I have kind of a meltdown because my team didn't win, or I'm frustrated with how so-and-so plays? And so we build moving all the way through. 4K in kindergarten, we do a lot of literacy work. So they're doing alphabet relays, they're running and looking for letters, they're doing all those things. And I've learned how to take their warm-up every day, and every other week I hide fitness. So we play a game to warm up and they run and they're sweating and they have no idea they're being, challenged fitness-wise. But then the next week we do planks or sit-ups and something where they know they are. So we just throw it all in and just keep them moving and get them excited. There's nothing more exciting than today I had kindergarten kiddos with a smaller basketball doing a 2-ball dribble. And when they start, they go, I can't do this, Miss Wiesner. And you say, just turn it over. And then they yell from across the room, I'm doing it! So it's just an awesome time of the day for them to find success in something they didn't think they could be successful in.
Okay. The next group is 6 through 9, physical education. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade FIED have FIED every other day the entire school year, so we're very excited to have them moving the whole school year and not just one block of time. Each grade builds on the previous grade. We do a lot of collaboration from 5th to 6th, so we have a good bridge there. And again, we are still working on a lot of the skills that they've learned in elementary school, but now going with much more mature form. And now the focus really starts to go about their individual fitness and understanding their strengths, areas that they could definitely improve upon. I was talking to Mrs. Wiesner about this. Our students, we are so lucky to have a program where our students do not want to sit out of physical education. That is not a problem at our school. So we have to give credit to our students for making the classroom a safe and comfortable place for our students. And we have students who are the leading scorer on the basketball team to girls who would rather not play basketball, but they will, and they have very good competitive games in class. So as they get older, their skill levels vary greatly, and again, we're just very fortunate. We have very successful classes. So can kind of just see some of the big things that we're working on. Each day there's warm-ups with individual fitness. We're always working on muscular strength and endurance and flexibility, realizing how inflexible a lot of our high schoolers are becoming. So increasing a lot of our flexibility in classes. They love playing, they love competing. But now we're introducing, as I said, more individual fitness. So the 6th graders are getting orientation in the weight room and learning very age-appropriate exercises. Our athletic trainer helps us with that, so we've got a good connection with her, and they're excited to be in there and learn things. And there's lots of other anaerobic and aerobic fitness activities that we do. Of course, kids love team sports and lifetime activities, and the bottom corner is very important. Personal responsibility, working well with others. Very rarely do we have conflicts in our classes. So kudos to our kids for being able to play, if that makes sense. And then after 9th grade, the kids have electives. They need 3 total FIED classes to graduate, so that they can take a little bit of ownership in the classes they'd like to choose. And those are listed at the bottom. There's a couple different weight training classes. So the kids that don't like the team sports and would rather focus on individual fitness, that is perfect for them. We still have that competitive team sports. It does say competitive, but again, we've got varying levels that are in those classes, and those are a lot of fun. Lifetime activities, and a fit for life. So by the time they graduate, they've got a very good exposure to a lot of different opportunities. So hopefully when they leave here, they've found something that they're passionate about and that they like, and continue to be physically active after high school.
Lindsay, on those, do they have to take 3 of those 4? Or can they take the same one for 3 years?
They have to take 2, because their 9th grade class counts as one of their high school credits, and then beyond that, they choose 2 of those. But oftentimes we have kids that take all 4 or 5.
But they have to take at least 2 separate ones. They can't do the same one.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So like, for example, there's weight training 1 and weight training 2. Does that make sense? Okay. And then,
So then we just threw together, we could talk for hours about what we do because we see tons of kids and we see them all the time and we love what we do, but we threw together a quick video just to highlight all the things that we do over time.
questions?
Is there any way you can use the Eco Lab at all? Is it too far away or is it?
Actually, they're,
Yeah, it is.
well, I don't think so.
Okay.
We are, Mr. Lickey had us all go to a Raybrook meeting the other day, so we are hoping to write a grant for some adventure gear. We have snowshoes, but they are showing their age, and it would be really nice to take our students out there and then even offer community use with our snowshoes.
Because I,
Bicycle, taking
last year
bikes out there.
I was able to set some tracks out there, and I intend to this year too.
Okay.
Playing, snow, provided we have snow. I mean, typically what I've been doing at Whitefish Dunes Park is we have dedicated areas for snowshoeing and also skiing. So, if you have some ideas or something you'd like to see done out there, I mean, probably like to set tracks in the widest part,
Okay.
in the main trails, but there's a lot of narrower trails where I can just take the roller through, pack it down for snowshoeing people.
That would be awesome. And we have the cross-country skis too. We've been
You
really.
still have some skis yet?
We do. They're in okay
They're
shape.
probably way out there.
Well, of course. They still
Yes.
work though.
So Raybrook would, something like, the new ski, waxless skis
Yeah.
that you just put on and go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about it, and we were saying it's been a couple years since we've had good enough snow that we've been able to go a lot. In fact,
Yeah.
our last group that I was able to really do skiing with, I think graduated 2 years ago. But it's just because we've gotten a lot and then it's been really cold, or, it just hasn't been conducive to be able to get the kiddos out. but-
So we have equipment out there right now, and I'll bring the snowmobile from Whitefish Dunes.
Awesome.
And we can, set tracks whenever and then, maybe it'll work out.
Yeah, and I think we need more than a class period, but we could,
Yeah.
Sure we could.
That's always a problem, when the kids are around.
yeah,
I think.
listen to a book while we're smoking. Yeah. I think that would be a great experience for our students to,
Yeah, we'll see what kind of snow we get, and,
yeah. We've used the snowshoes quite a bit in the past few years. We've been challenged with a lot of downed trees and of course the construction, but they're kids, they have fun, they make their own trails and have really enjoyed it.
so we can improve on that.
Yes, absolutely.
The pictures from the old pictures brought back vivid memories to me from the class of 1965 with the ropes and stuff. So in that era,
We've gone way past it.
but in that era, I was in a boys' school, so there was like in my graduating class,
Before ropes, Jerry.
200, there were like 204 guys. Okay, so as a senior though, we still have PE every day, which I say you don't have PE every day now. And if you grafted the whole weight of everybody, the median weight of those 212 guys was about probably 147. We probably had 2 guys, or maybe 3 out of that whole group of 200, who tipped 200, and they were the big guys on the football team. Now, everybody else was much younger than them. So, do you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle? Because I'm certain, I know the numbers have changed greatly. Ideas of activities have changed greatly. So, the one thing I do not understand in high schools is the emphasis on weight training. Because like at Sturgeon Bay, they have the whole, so these guys wonder, well, that's great in high school, but then your odds are you're not going to get onto a college football team so all that weight, unless you stay physically fit, turns to fat. And if you look around our society today, or just go down 3rd Avenue, young 20-somethings are way overweight. The biggest, when I was working in the healthcare world, we used to say that our biggest challenge into the 20s, the 20-year-olds, late 20 years, is going to be a huge increase in diabetes. So I don't know how to ask the question, but that's the problem I see out there. And is it, why don't we have PE every day?
Well, I think part of it, and I can't speak for administration-wise, but I think part of it is academics take a lot of time as well, and it's just a balance of schedule and how you can get kids where you need to get them. And so, in my mind, I love Fayette, and I love to tell every kid they should be in there 3 hours a day and doing a ton of stuff because it's fun. But that's, I think, where we also balance having recess and giving them outside play. And I think a lot of things have changed in our society. It's not just one thing, but kids don't go out and play by themselves anymore as much as they used to because it's not as safe as it used to be. And so parents don't want them to go. You can't let your kid go and say, come in when it gets dark out. Because you're terrified of where they are in the meantime. And from that grew, kids expected adults to start and play and monitor games for them. And so I think we do a really good job. I'm going to toot our own horn, but that's why we balance our competitiveness with what we teach kids, because we just want to teach kids how to play and have fun. So I love that I can get a second grader to do planks because they think it's awesome that they can do a 30-second plank. They don't groan and say, this is awful, I hate it. But we do it in a way that they find excitement. These pictures are like the JFK era where they would all stand in a row and they'd all do the same thing for 45 minutes, but that didn't last over longevity either. Those people didn't do those exercises the rest of their life. So we're hoping that we can teach kids that there's a ton of different ways to be active, and you don't have to love or embrace one or the other. You just have to find something that works for you and be healthy. So I think we're always telling kids, you don't have to play basketball and be a great basketball player, but you need to be able to move your body. So if you can do it playing basketball, great. If you can do it snowshoeing, fantastic.
And I think also the food industry has really changed the last 50 years. Processed food, that's a little different.
Yeah, just a tad.
So do you teach any nutrition in your physical education or health classes? I was listening to the trainer the other day, and I never heard this. She said, before a game, you should have carbohydrates, plenty of fluids and carbohydrates. And after the game, you should have the protein because. So you guys teach any nutrition in your classes?
Yep, it's actually part of the state standard that we have to address. So we talk about different foods, different body parts, what's anaerobic, aerobic, all those things that you start to throw out to kids. Like when I said to kids, you need to do pull-ups with a band so you can learn muscle memory. Like I want kids to realize I can train my body to do something. So addressing like different foods and what they are and how to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm. How to fuel your body.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Any questions for these ladies?
Now I'm going to ditch Lindsay and make her do her own.
Lisa, were you in those pictures at all?
What?
Were you in those pictures?
I've heard about your Fayette uniform before.
I was the one on the bottom that couldn't find the rope. But I could do a cartwheel.
Okay, I also teach health, 7th grade and 9th grade, so I'm going to share a sneak peek into that classroom. The 7th graders I see every day for 1 semester. And the 9th graders I see every other day all year, opposite of Fayette, so that's a great pairing for those kids. And it's great for Fayette because they're active all year, but I see a huge change in 9th graders in their maturity from September to May. So as we get into some of those hard topics, the maturity level has changed and they're ready to handle them a little bit differently than they would in September. There's so many things that I cover in each grade, but you can see I just kind of highlighted some of the big major topics. Mental health is the biggest one on there. That is something that, I don't just have a mental health unit and we're done. That is constant every day, all year, because mental health crosses over to every part of our daily life. Human growth and development, smoking, alcohol, drugs, and vaping, nutrition, and I spend a good chunk teaching CPR, first aid, and how to use an automated external defibrillator to 7th grade. All these topics all year long. Like I said, they're not just done. So many things are connected in so many different ways. 9th grade, definitely build on their knowledge from 7th grade and continue on so they have a better depth of knowledge and get into more topics as their bodies are going through major changes, not just physically, but the social, emotional changes. They're hard. They're really tough for our students. So we spend a lot of time, again, taking care of their mental health. That's not on there, but that is constant in all of these. Anatomy, reproduction, and pregnancy, puberty and development, self-esteem, body systems, preventions, and healthy relationships. For this curriculum, Wisconsin has adopted the National Education Health Standards, so these are the standards that I follow and make sure in 7th and 9th grade that they've reached the standards. The Wisconsin DPI sends me an email probably monthly with regular updates to make sure that my curriculum is current. Sometimes there is things that they are requiring that I teach, so I do stay up to date with that and take all of their recommendations and follow them. Okay, so I want to highlight how the classes that I teach are skill-based. They're not just sit and get some knowledge. I want kids to be able to use what they learn in class to be healthy, high-achieving people outside of the classroom. So, for example, in a content-based classroom, maybe they're getting knowledge and memorizing facts. That's great that they know them, but if they're not practicing them in the real world, they're almost useless at times. So a lot of the things that we are learning in class, we're trying to help the kids learn how to apply them to their own lives and practice the skills. So, for example, our students can tell you where the major bones and muscles are in their body. That's great. But in a skill-based classroom, the students are able to write a goal based on their personal fitness goals and can follow a fitness routine. In a content-based classroom, students can tell you what some symptoms of depression are and maybe how to be treated. But in my classroom, we are having students learn and identify medical services or trusted adults that they can talk to. We practice in class how to ask for help. There's a lot of role-playing going on in small groups. They practice talking to an adult. We try to make them as authentic as possible. They are 7th and 9th graders, but they really do a good job of taking this seriously. We practice talking to their parents. Sometimes they'll want to talk to their parents that they're having a rough time at school. Their parent may say something like, everyone goes through that. That's not what we want parents to say. So we teach kids how to keep talking to their parents. So to see the difference in the content versus skills, that is huge. We're trying to give the kids the skills they need to be healthy. Our 7th graders today actually were given some scenarios about vaping. They were given some tools, 10 different ways you can refuse, and they practiced them. They were given a scenario and they practiced. Just like anything else, the more you practice, the easier it is. And when the time comes, you'll know how to use it. Does it always work? Unfortunately, no. But I think giving them the practice will prepare them in the future. These are 7 major skills you'll see in any health curriculum. So we practice these in real life in class so that they can make healthy decisions, they can think critically, solve problems, and set goals. They can find anything on Google. Sometimes kids will ask me a question, I don't know the answer to all of their health questions, and they can find the answer in 2 seconds. I say, oh, I'll look into that and get back to you, and they can tell me. So accessing information is easy, but we want them to use their skills to be, like I said, make good decisions and be healthy people. Maybe you've heard of the health triangle: physical health, mental health, social health. Those are the big basis of health. But in my 9th grade classes, we are expanding a little bit of that triangle and how these are dimensions of health and how each and every one of these can affect that physical, mental, and social part of your health. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, not only does that cause emotional stress, but that can cause you to be physically sick. So they are starting to see the connect in that health triangle in all aspects of their life. The 9th graders started the school year, they wrote a goal for themselves for each of those. I was blown away at how well they did. Like, for example, their jobs right now are to be students, so a lot of them wrote goals for their academics. And then we're going to check in to see how they're doing with their quarter goal and their yearly goal. So if we put those goals in their mind in all of these areas, it's going to help them be healthier people. All right, I'm going to take a few minutes to show you some of the skills that they're practicing in class. I don't have music set, so there's some awkward silence. I apologize about that, but I'll explain some of the activities that the students are doing. Okay, so I'm going to stop this. This one is called Walk a Mile in My Shoes. Really focusing on being good people, good characters, not stereotyping people and having prejudice. So we started the school year talking about empathy, because you don't know what the person next to you may be coming to school with. May look like a very happy person, does really well in school, but you may not really know what is going on. So we're always practicing kindness, trying to show empathy. So in this activity, the students were given a paper shoe, and they filled these things with things that people may not know about them. Okay? Could be their dreams, their goals, things they're afraid of. Some of these things are awful, and these are some of the things that our classmates are learning that you'll see. I have toxic friends. This is eye-opening for me too. Expect my students to come to school and be ready to learn, but look at some of the things they are dealing with. Says I worry about my brother constantly. I have to fix that one. So we hung those up in our classroom, and the students got to check out everybody's shoes. So then we practiced how important it is to be kind to each other. So this is some 7th graders. They wrote a note to every single one of their classmates, giving them a genuine and authentic compliment. That was really fun. So again, we were practicing those skills. We practiced greeting our teachers, giving compliments in the hallway. One more thing, I'm going to pause and I'll try to let it go. One other thing the high schoolers and middle schoolers both do this. We get centered when we come into class by first thing answer a journal question relating to the topic, maybe just to see what they know, what they remember from last time, to get an opinion. But they also take a couple seconds to show some gratitude, set a little goal for the day that they want to achieve, and also think about how they could be physically active. So we talked about what gratitude is and how we take so much for granted. So the kids are finally kind of understanding so many things that we take for granted. And then they start the day by just focusing on something they want to accomplish today. We talked about habits of happy people, and these are some of the things that people who are very happy do each day. So now they started not putting things like my cell phone, my Netflix. They're understanding what that gratitude looks like. There's a lot of teachers on there. Here are the students. They created these decks of cards about different diseases. Rather than me just standing up here and telling them what all the diseases are, they made the cards, and now they're teaching their classmates how to prevent these. The treatments, they're talking in small groups, asking questions, builds their confidence when they're able to talk to each other. I found that students are nervous sometimes to be put in small groups, but they're building good relationships and trusting each other. Here's a nutrition activity where they are checking out different food. Now, of course, we know which one is healthier, the breakfast sandwich. They can tell us that, but they are explaining why, as far as like the food plate and the nutrients and why it's good fuel or not good fuel for their body. So they're up and moving and checking out all kinds of different options, and then they created their own based on foods that they have at home, and hopefully, possibly teaching their parents as well as some healthy habits that they might be able to change in their own household. It's a lot of discussion between the students. All right, those 7th graders, they learned child, infant, and adult CPR. They learned how to help somebody who's choking. We do some very basic first aid, and they are able to locate, and they know how to use an AED. Our 9th graders get a refresher class, as I think practicing these skills is important. Here's just some kids playing another nutrition game where they are questioning each other, learning all kinds of facts about nutrition. Students wrote some stories about stress. It's an animal, but they took examples from their own lives and made them into a children's story. And they all had happy endings because they learned the skills of how to deal with health in a positive way. They learned something called timeout, workout, reach out. That's a strategy you can use to handle your stress. So these students are building skeletal models with Q-tips in class, and then there's a lot that goes into this. They're talking about different diseases and things that can happen from nutrition. So here we're crossing over and incorporating movement into all these bones and muscles. So just a hands-on activity where they created, in this case, skeletal, and now these kids are teaching their class about osteoporosis and what it looks like, why people get it. This is a digestive system hands-on activity. They are learning exactly what happens when you put something in your mouth to the time it leaves your body. You can see from some of their facial expressions it was pretty gross, but it gave them a very, very good visual as to what's happening to the food in your body and how diet can affect, that's the final product she's holding there. Oh, there it is. Yep. So I don't think those kids will forget digestion. Okay, we're almost done. So last thing, this is actually our current 9th graders. I had them in 7th grade. In 7th grade, they wrote a letter to themselves. I didn't see it, their parents didn't see it. They wrote about their physical, what they looked like, who their friends were, their goals, their dreams, their thoughts on alcohol, vaping, some of those dangerous behaviors. So I gave them back to them in 9th grade. That was fun to watch their reactions of how goofy they were in 7th grade. But then they wrote another letter that they'll get back when they're in high school. But we also spent a lot of time, if you remember I showed you those 8 dimensions. They wrote goals for each of those and a dream and a vision board. So we're constantly thinking towards the future about what are the little things we can do along the way to help you reach your goals and dreams and be a healthy person along the way. So that was a fun activity, and they'll get those back in 12th grade, and hopefully all their dreams will come true. There's always big trucks. They always got trucks on there. Okay. That is it. All right. Any questions?
Do you have outside resources come in, like maybe people, Red Cross? Or?
I don't have Red Cross. I used to be a certified CPR instructor, so I'm very comfortable in that. I cannot officially certify the kids in class because there's certain time and class numbers. But I do have a couple of speakers lined up. One is going to talk about eating disorders, and another is coming in to talk about suicide prevention. So those are a couple that I have lined up this year, but I'm always excited to see other outside sources. I was recently just trained in QPR, which is suicide prevention training, so that is also part of our curriculum. It's very important for kids to have the knowledge so they know what to do, they can recognize it in themselves and a friend, because at this point in their lives, they're probably spending more time with their friends than their family. So
what activities do you do with the seniors? Do the seniors do some activities before you push around the door of the real world?
you know what, I don't have the seniors for health. I only have them, the last time I have them is 9th grade.
Okay, so there's no health courses for the seniors?
There's not. I know some bigger schools probably have another elective.
That'd be a really interesting time,
Mhm.
just before you're getting to cut the
Yeah.
cord,
Mhm.
so to speak.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you very much.
For the nice slideshow.
Yeah. I'm surprised you got them using me on my house.
Yeah, right. Okay, we didn't have any guests registered.
No, we did not.
Does anyone wish any items removed to the consent agenda? If not, the consent agenda is approved by consent with those bunch of donations again. $268 for the Pioneer Cafe, $500 for Forest Days from the Rotary Club, $7,206 from the PTO, which I guess closes out their account, Jackson Park Business Association, $1,000 for music and drama, the Zyke family, $5,000 for Destination Imagination, and the FFA alumni, $800 for Destination Imagination. So thank you to those groups. We'll move to administrator reports, meeting with Mr. Hiltz.
Thank you very much. Just want to draw your attention to something I'd mentioned in the report. In the report, they're called kudos cards, but these are staff shout-out cards. And the way they work is someone who notices something another staff member is doing, they fill out the card and they send that to that person's supervisor. So they get a chance to see what it is that they're recognizing that person for, and then the supervisor puts that in the recipient's mailbox So there's kind of a cycle, and it's a chance for people to recognize each other and notice some of the good things that are going on. And it's nice too for us as supervisors to get that information, because sometimes there are things that are going on behind the scenes that we're not always aware of. And so it's just nice for us to get that.
And are these just available to pick up in the office?
They are. We've got them. Melissa Olson has them at her desk. People can grab them from her anytime. I've got a handful of extras in my office as well. And if we run out, we'll order some more.
And these are elementary through high school?
Yes, the entire district uses it.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Margaret?
In addition to my report, I just wanted to say that the community programs postcards have hit the mailboxes and they're in people's hands right now. We've already had over 25 people sign up for community programs, and that's never happened before. So it's a really excellent response. We're really excited about that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention too, it's in my report, and I know Mr. Litke is going to add a little bit to it. But the state report card, is posted. Our website is updated. We had to put a press release out so our families know that the state report card is there. But I'm happy to do any more press releases as more news comes out about where Sevastopol finds itself among other schools in the county. And so happy to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer?
I just would like to touch on two things. First of all, I know I talked about this what we were going to do, but the NWTC celebration was a huge success. We had to work really hard to get people out of the building. People were staying here for quite some time. We had businesses talk about, I put a quote in there, it said, your machine shop is better than the shop of a lot of businesses. What an incredible opportunity the students have here. So not only the students in the NWTC program, but our other students who participate with Mr. Paul. Mr. Litke gave a great welcoming speech. Always does a really great job of highlighting the Fab Lab, the industrial wing, and how it came to be, so people can have an appreciation and continued appreciation for the marvelous building that we have here and the opportunities our students have. I also wanted to acknowledge our play. Puffs was really incredible. It was really great to see some students in a different light do a really tremendous job. I got a lot of great feedback from people on that. And I want to give a shout out to our middle school staff, because as we're implementing our Character Strong, we have a lot of teachers at the middle school level who are giving up their prep periods and extra, what would be considered free time for them to take over and lead classrooms through the Character Strong, where we can do it at a consistent time. The staff are the ones who came up with this great solution, because I didn't have one. So they came up with one, and it was a tremendous bout of sacrifice on a lot of people's part, and shows that their investment in the Character Strong program is something they value, and they see the importance in us doing it to fidelity is totally critical. So I'm just very proud of them.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions on the AD or gifted and talented report they want to direct?
Just back to the last report.
Oh.
I think would the board find it, because I think we sometimes get lost and forget what we're really talking about sometimes. And I think with Character Strong, if you could come back on a quarterly basis or something and update us, refresh us of what the activities are that's going on with it. So I think it's really important. So it doesn't just get lost in the reports, so that we don't understand what your goals are, what you're working on.
Kind of like the presentation we had on different curriculum areas.
Pardon?
Kind of like we had a presentation on the different curriculum areas every month. Like we had 5 this month. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have art next month, so maybe January. But
I'll see if I can find someone to present on it.
You're safe. You're safe.
The only comment on the AD report that I like it, I think it'll help probably everybody, is it was reported out how many volunteers they got. And I think that's a neat little tracking thing that we can all know, like, so, the JV1 basketball team didn't have a lot of volunteers yet, right? So that helps to get messages out to the parents and say, hey, I hope that will work that way, to say, hey, we really need to get people to volunteer for this. So I like something like that, because I know that's been a problem for a while, and we're always working on it, so I just would say thanks for pointing it that way. Hopefully it'll help.
We'll move to the superintendent's report.
Sure. In my report, you'll see that we're working on the schedule for 23, 24. When I say we, it's Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Helps, and I, and we can read about the various challenges with it. We're trying to work a better K-12 system. Over time, it's kind of become departmentalized, and we're working, and we've had different groups of teachers in on it, so we're trying to get it. There's no perfect schedule, but we are trying to improve our efficiency with the current one. And then we're starting with Studer work. I had a phone conference today with it, and the other administrators got their login last week, except a couple didn't log in, but didn't work, so they should be getting new contacts. And then the state report card came out yesterday, and our scores are excellent. The district score is the highest in Door and Kewaunee County and for Northeast Wisconsin, according to Fox 11. Winnicott is the only one higher than us for the district score. The district score, elementary score, and middle school all dropped by 1% or less, which is next to nothing. And the middle school score really is ringing out true with a 93.9. And then the high school score last year was 59.9 and bumped up to 61.3, so it went up 1.4%. So, yeah. So
Northeast Wisconsin is a big area. It's Brown, Calumet, Door, Fond du Lac, Green Lake, Kewaunee, Manitowoc, Marinette, Marquette, Menominee, Oconto, Allegheny, Shawano, Wapaka, Waushara, and Winnebago counties.
yeah, and this is the press release we'll
So,
sent out
that's
yesterday. And
So we're number one.
We're number
for
two.
number 2, Winnicott was higher than us, and
We're eighth.
but for Door and Kewaunee County, we are number 1, right? And Door County Daily News called us yesterday about it. So it's all good.
Are you going to do any type of celebration with your staff?
We probably should do something. It just got released
I
yesterday.
think the board should do something like we host a lunch or something just, I know you can laugh at it, but celebrations are very, very important.
Would you like to do something?
Let's talk about that under board goals.
Okay.
All right, don't forget.
I mean, I think that's where it fits maybe. I don't have anything. We had the board goals meetings, and we'll talk about that when we get to that agenda item. The athletic committee met. Do you have anything to report for us, Keith? Dave? Jeff?
Nope, they were just going back and they were going to revise some things to present for the second meeting. Some recommendations to coach some things up.
And Brooke stopped the next morning and talked to me about some of the things, and she's got to type it up and frame it. She may need one more meeting with you guys. But,
Good dialogue, with raising our expectations and make sure we have proper clarification so that it's very clear and consistent. Good discussion today.
And then we'll move to the budget report.
Budget report for this month. November, December, that's when our cash on hand is at its lowest points through the year because taxes are rolling in January. Like you can see on Fund 10 with $2.6 million in cash on hand. Carl got out the levy on time for November if he needs to. And then there was an adjustment made in Fund 49. We had a CD that ADM, the company we have our money invested with, and they had a audit come in and come and they found that we had $3,350 more coming back to us. So that's good. And then Carl submitted the forms for title funds and submitted special education claims.
Any questions on that? And then we'll move to the facilities, building and field project.
Building here, no word on the greenhouse. The heating system in the shop, and looking at getting that so it's a little quieter when it's running. Realize this building's been pretty good. Heating and air conditioning guys were in 10 days ago. There's some zones that are warmer than others. As the time of the year changes, if you have southern exposure or not, depends what you get. So they're working through that. The air handler for the 1965 gymnasium area, it was supposed to be a 3-week project, and I told them they couldn't take up our gym for 3 weeks. And now they said, well, we can get a couple crews there over Christmas break. They want to get the big piece of machinery out of the shop area. So now they can bring a couple crews and work on it over Christmas break. And they said, as long as we get it put back together by the time we come back to school, they said they haven't had, because I also asked, they have to take part of the wall and put the air handler in. I said, you got the brick to the block to go back. They said, oh yeah, we got everything we need. I said, okay, because always with projects right now, it's the materials that hold you up, so that's good.
Is there any concern for, it's not a wall, a bearing wall, and a structural wall, they know that cutting that wall is not a big deal, that we have to worry about that?
I don't, yeah, it's not a wall, it's not a weight bearing wall, no, because the beams run together, no, it's not. I know enough about construction, I can tell you that that's not, yeah. A couple of years ago, I couldn't have told you that, but I'm real confident now, yeah.
Yeah, the last 24 months, right?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of that.
We didn't even charge you tuition for that.
There you go.
Have we already paid them, or?
No, we paid half to get the parts ordered and the other half when they do the install.
I never thought I'd say this, but when you speak to him, you probably need to speak a little louder so the camera.
Oh, sorry.
To Dave?
To Dave, yeah?
I want to know that she told me to speak louder.
I just want to make sure it's all heard.
David's such a quiet.
My question was on the wall, to make sure it was analyzed properly, and two, I was going to ask is, and maybe it's not viable, but if we could find a way to put like an agreement or a penalty clause and say, if you don't finish it by the time school starts, we get a 10% discount or something. I don't know if that's viable in today's industry, and but.
Might have done that already.
Just a question, how is the new cleaning process going with the company we engaged, and the new materials and products and equipment? And
Yeah, it's ongoing. Mark Baker is out in November. He's been here. We don't have another custodian on staff, so that's going full speed again, so that's good. There still needs to be more training. That'll be ongoing, but yeah, he was here 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Okay. Anything on the field project?
Field project, there's about 6 items that are on the punch list that need to be addressed. The 400 amp service breakers need to still be installed. The plug by the Pioneer Heat that lights up, we want that relocated. And the roll down windows for the concession stand, the seals aren't solid, so there's air light that gets through, so when it snows, it's going to blow in there, so there's supposed to be fix some seals to get those. I didn't go out there today to see last night.
They're agreeing with all
Right,
these things.
right, so they have a small list of items that go on that, but for all intents and purposes, it's good. It's almost getting to come back to finish these touch-up items.
Right, as a top anyway.
Yeah.
Then we'll move to the goals, and we had our meeting last week, and in the first meeting, I think a lot of ideas came forward. They maybe weren't goals, but they were ideas that maybe the administrative team had in their minds, maybe they didn't. But I think it was great because it showed that the board is really, board members and administrators are really thinking about what's happening here and what we want to see happen. But we did talk about adopting a mission statement and a vision statement. And we prepared those for us for our,
Well, these kind of came out of the discussion from last time, and Mr. Schaefer had these, and then the next 2 pages after the mission statement and vision statement are supporting documents for those. The mission statement, and change it, tweak it, talk about it, discuss it, but it's pioneering the next generation with a focus on developing the whole child through high academic standards, emphasizing character growth and social emotional skill development. And the vision statement is we will create an all-inclusive and safe environment that empowers students to develop the necessary skills for college, career, and community ready. So thoughts, discussion on those?
I like them.
Yeah, I think
I
they're.
guess the only thing I would add is we need the word "the" in that last sentence for and the social emotional skill development. Or should it just be and the social emotional skill
Oh.
development?
hire an engineer, but I think it could.
I
What was
think,
your comment, Jeff?
If we needed the word the.
I think you can remove the because you have, can we, I'm gonna cross it off and then I'm gonna see Mrs. Spuds in the morning. Is that
Well,
right?
wait, on the second page, it's already gone. That's why you confused me.
Like,
The second page does
Second
gone.
page.
How about that? Now you got a 50-50 shot.
okay, well, we're gonna cross it off. We'll put it back in if Mrs. Spuds says it has to be there.
I defer to her, like, for
We'll
sure.
defer.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend on that one.
Okay, can I comment?
Yeah, we're looking for comments and
All right,
Discussion.
not to rain on everybody's parade, the mission statement is too long. Spending half my life in developing mission, vision, and value statements. Mission statements should be of length that every employee can recite on demand. By memory.
Propose a change, sir.
I propose the mission statement should read, preparing the students of today for the challenges of tomorrow. That's your mission.
All right, say it again, preparing.
The students of today for the challenges of tomorrow. And that can be turned around any way you want to, but that's about the length that a mission statement should be. About 13 words.
I like pioneering the next generation as a starting point because we've been using that for a couple of years now, pioneering the next generation. We say that quite often.
And I don't know why, I guess that must be the important thing that, to me, keeping on this, if you go into the future, you can change that. But anyway, I'm just saying it should be
Right.
no more than 13 words long. And then your vision statement. Vision statements are to tell you where you want to become, what you want to be. So to me, the vision of this organization should simply be become the best rural school district in Wisconsin. And that's going to be the guiding light as you go forward. Then the usurps, it's not on here, and the plagiarized from previous organizations I've worked with. Then you need a promise. In this organization, there will be a student promise, and it'll be very simple. Keeping students first in everything we do. That's our customers.
Okay, would a promise be similar to, as Mr. Schaefer has later on, a guiding principle? A promise and guiding principle, are those the same or different?
Yeah, guiding principle is a promise.
I'm just asking.
And one question, so we have the mission statement of some sort, we'll get there. And then the second page, it was always captured, so when people want to dig into the mission statement, it kind of highlights this.
That's narrative and facts.
I mean, my only point is then, with the two together, the one-liner that we remember, my point is it's easier for me to go to a shorter phrase, because right back here, I think it adds, we kind of satisfy the intent with the kind of the expansion here, if anyone wants to look into that. But I'm not sure we'll go that short, but tweaking it this time.
I mean, because the mission statement is usually something you can easily post on your walls, you post on your
We just gotta see how good what a
stationery.
memory our staff has.
Huh?
I was being, you said they have to recite it.
I always remember a story that when LBJ went to NASA, and he was touring the NASA building, and he ran into a janitor, an old black man with his mop, and he said to him, "Sir, what's the purpose? What's your job here?" He said, "Mr. President, my job is to help get a man in there." And that's really powerful. So that means that he was able to condense the mission into something really short. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying.
I also think that academic environment or educational environment is different than that of a business environment. And I think, academically, I think that this particular mission statement takes in a lot of the aspects of an education institution versus, a mission that might be more applicable to a business situation. And I think academically, I really like it. I think it hits the high points, especially when we're dealing with children from ages 4 through 18. And beyond that, I think it's a little bit unfair.
So on the mission, I just put that preparing students of today for the challenges tomorrow. How does that counter what you just said about preparing the students, getting them ready for life?
I think it's too generalized. I think we still want to put some key points into the mission statement. Well, other than just saying, well, we're going to prepare students for tomorrow. Okay.
So the thing I would add is, maybe, so now we may clean this up a little bit, but, what was pioneering the next generation or something, what does that mean, right? Well, what I like about this in an academic world, so maybe some of the kids, if they actually start, maybe we have in classes or however it becomes integrated into what we do, or our coaching, before we start a game, something like that. But, our standards, high academic standards. Whatever your skill is, do the best that you can, right? So push yourself to your own limits. Character growth, I think we need that a lot. Look around and turn social media on for a while. And that's the only reason I kind of think that a little more words here than your, NASA, where they have a lot of PhDs and guys and great janitors and stuff like that. I just think, and the social emotional skill, we're hearing that everywhere. And CISA saying that and everybody, no one questions that anymore. So I'm just curious, I'm just discussion. That's why,
I don't take offense, I'm just...
Right, no, I'm with you, I'm just, because I like short and sweet too, but I think maybe allow parents even to read into that and say, and our staff, and our staff that continues to show well against the state anyways, so, but anyways.
Well, how about pioneering the next generation with a focus on high academic standards, character growth, and social emotional skill development? 18 words.
That's fine, that's good. Anything beats what they have now in this paragraph.
Could you repeat that?
Should I tell you what to cross off?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're crossing out developing the whole child through, emphasizing, and the, with clarification.
He just wanted to get rid of that.
Focusing.
I call that got in there.
Okay,
That's
now
what I
read it
thought.
the way you read it with the exclusions.
Pioneering the next generation with a focus on high academic standards, character growth, and social emotional skill development.
I go with that.
Only thing is, if I was an outsider, and I look upon myself as an outsider.
You wouldn't know who you were talking to.
Is pioneering a verb?
No. We're Sevastopol pioneers.
I know, but I mean...
Pioneering.
We've been saying that around here for a
forging
while.
the way.
Come on.
You're cutting the ground.
We've always done it this way, but I'm just...
Oh, we haven't always done it that way, but it's been the last couple of years.
I can't say a term, right?
Well, let's not forget what school district that first had buses.
First non-smoking school district.
Sorry.
I don't know if it belongs in the mission statement, but I get the pioneering the next generation. I like it because it's, education is always changing. We are always
Educating,
We are always, I don't know if it belongs here, but I like pioneering the next generation because it's always changing. Education is always changing, and we're changing with it to be the best that we can be.
And NASA pioneered space.
Pioneering is an adjective, meaning involving new ideas or methods.
Okay. So anyway, Jeff, I like your
Condensed version.
condensed version.
Does it take anything away from, with your background and experience in putting some of this together for us to talk about? Is that what?
Or just taking the child out of the equation. Is that? Say that again. I mean, because we don't mention who we're doing it for, I guess.
Well, we say next generation,
Right.
so that's saying it's,
So that's, yeah.
right, I mean, the next generation, that's every child, you know, a child is one, next generation is all of them, right?
I did test this mission statement on people who have never heard it, and it was really interesting. I was just read it one time, and they said this mission statement is really easy because your keywords are whole child, by character development, high academic standards, and social emotional. Like, you know, even if you can't repeat all the other things, those things really emerge. And I tested it on people who aren't here. I said, here, I'm going to read you a mission statement. Tell me what are the big things that you pull out of it. I think even when we did our board goal meeting, I mean, Ms. Berry, I think you had heard it twice, and you were able to pull out the big three in that mission statement. And so,
Just the three items.
yeah, and I don't disagree with Jerry, because I've written mission statements for other people as well. And yes, you do typically want them shorter. Or, you know, when you look at a mission, what's our purpose, and why do we exist, and what's our intention? I think it hits that. And I like, personally, I know I don't get to vote on it, but that's why the whole child, we're not just developing great students, you know, we're the whole child, and what does that mean? It's defined by those three words. But I don't necessarily think pulling that out makes it worse, or, you know, if it's necessary or not. That's for you guys to decide. I just like it because it embodies what we are. We're not just developing students, we're helping develop people, we're helping develop the skills they need to handle the challenges that life faces. And quite frankly, with COVID and everything else, that's where our students really need a lot of support and help. And it's great that we're a school that's investing in those three major areas for all of our kids. I think it's amazing.
I agree.
Let's put that on the shelf for a second and move to, for a minute, for 2 minutes, and move to the vision statement to see if it aligns. Which was, we will create an all-inclusive and safe environment that empowers students to develop the necessary skill to be college, career, and community ready.
Jerry, what did you say? Do you remember?
I said become the best rural school in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Because the mission flows, actually you should do a vision before you do the mission, because the mission flows from the vision. The vision tells you where you want to go. The mission tells you what rules, the sidebars, the rules you're going to have to get there. I just looked at the definition of a vision statement. A vision statement is an inspirational statement of an idealistic emotional future for a vision company or group. Vision describes the basic human emotion that the founder intends to be experienced by the people that interact with. So that's why I put the vision statement. Our ultimate vision is striving forward as one of the best rural school district, and then the mission then comes underneath that to get you right.
What happens when not a rural school district?
You're always in your rural because the only MSA is Green Bay, and it stops at the Kewaunee Fork on the north side because
No, Sturgeon Bay is not a rural school.
it's a metropolitan statistical district.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as state of Wisconsin, when the deep guy looks at it, Sturgeon Bay is not a rural school.
No.
Yeah, so someday we could be Sturgeon Bay North after our lifetimes.
Not what we're.
We'll create an all-inclusive and safe environment. That is a goal, right? I mean, become the best rural school in Wisconsin is a goal. Creating an all-inclusive and safe environment and empower students, that's a goal as well.
No, it's a vision. It's because it's a very tough thing that keeps you guided. It's not a goal because you're not going to easily make it.
No, we're gonna keep going for it.
That's the vision. The vision is an altruistic, emotional direction.
Well, this is where in this ballgame in a school district, I just kind of repeat, but a few more words I think is good, because the vision of all-inclusive, look around this world right now. People are not tolerant of people. That's a vision. We ain't getting there next week, right? Safe environment, the number one goal of anybody is safety. That's what the number one goal of military should be, is provide safety. In a school, you want safe people. Because you can't learn anything if you don't feel safe. So I mean, I could dice this, is what I'm kind of doing a couple different ways. And I get the short and sweet, right? But, first of all, we're going from a 14 paragraph, package to something that we're trying for, many reasons, right? Maybe some kids will read it, maybe some parents will read it, maybe some taxpayers will read it. But it's short. This is not, this is pretty short, all right? So I don't disagree with your long base of experience and all that kind of stuff, but a little more meat to get people to pay attention and understand and ask a question. That's all the reason. Yeah.
Someone asked me.
Yeah.
But Jerry, you said that the vision statement should be something we can never obtain,
No,
right?
you can, that's what.
Because we can become the best school in Wisconsin. And who says we ain't?
Then you met your vision.
Right, we've got our vision, so
But it's not, it's something that's not going to happen tomorrow.
why? Who's better than us? Which school's better in the state of Wisconsin than us? No one's got that answer, do they?
I don't know, there's probably some other rural schools that have scored.
Well, that's one
What's that, Jerry?
The state report card is one measurement, but there's social emotional, there's all the other activities we give our kids. Who says that someone's better than us? I don't know who they are.
I'm just saying.
There's no one in CISA South better than us.
I come away with the feeling that we are overanalyzing this to the point that
You're probably right.
infinity. You can overanalyze something until it's not pertinent anymore. This was the fun analysis. I liked it.
Then change it, then become the best rural school district in the United States.
I don't like the label rural school.
Well, then you gotta compete with some of
Why
the
can't we
big
compete
wealthy.
with the rest?
wealthy
We said the kid to Yale, Notre Dame, Madison last year. Who cares what your zip code is,
Yeah.
right? And it's all proportional.
Then become the best.
I think we're way better than MPS. Are we not better than Milwaukee?
Then change it. Make it the best school district.
I would change that to the division statement that we have in front of us presented.
Right.
No? I don't know.
You would change what?
I wouldn't change, I would leave exactly what Mr. Schaefer has picked up here for a vision statement. The mission statement, I'd go with what Jeff proposed, because he shortened it some, and that's more easily memorable, and he didn't cut out any of the main 3 points that we got there.
For process sake, do we get a motion on the table and then talk about it and see what the vote is?
So you're kind of kicking around right now, yeah, it's an action discussion, I don't.
Well, then let's start with, let's get a motion on the mission statement.
I'll move that we approve Jeff Isaacson's proposed mission statement.
And what is that?
Jeff, would you read your?
Pioneering the next generation with a focus on high academic standards, character growth, and social emotional skill development.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Further comments, questions, discussion?
I would just add like the whole child.
You would add the whole, you would add developing the whole child? Is that what you said then? You would add developing the whole child?
Yes, yeah, I don't know, yeah. I recognize the process, so it's okay.
How does everybody feel about that?
Motion's on the floor. And a second.
Now we're discussing, unless you want to call the question.
I'll call the question.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the mission statement, reading. Jeff, will you read it back?
Pioneering the next generation with a focus on high academic standards, character growth, and social emotional skill development.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yep.
Did somebody oppose?
Yeah,
You did?
You opposed your own motion?
You opposed?
I was just throwing it out there. I didn't even agree with it.
Okay, motion.
You can see that you're a psychiatrist on that one, all
Motion carried, motion carried, so that is the mission statement. So, you can't remember it, remember the big three. Academic standards, character growth, and social emotional development. Then, we'll move to the vision statement.
Move to approve the vision statement as presented.
I'll second.
Discussion, or we had an alternative, become the best school district in Wisconsin, become the best school district in the United States, become the best rural school district, and some other options.
I think we'll vote this down first.
Now we're in discussion. If somebody wants to discuss it further, or someone can call the question.
Question.
What's your question?
I called the question.
Oh, you only said question, I didn't know.
Sorry, I called the question.
Okay, all in favor of approving the vision statement as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So, Mr. Lickey, how would you propose to present all of this? You know, we've got the mission statement, which should be on a plaque someplace, or in places, or provided to each staff member, so they've got it in front of them for a while. But then there are all these other, the other pages here, which is kind of good, important, good information.
Yeah, we'll go back to ag team and we'll get it out in a clean fashion for the staff, and then we'll probably have their various, when they have their pod meetings or their different staff meetings, or we'll have in-service, doesn't have to be January. Don't have to want to wait that long, but we'll figure it out when we're all together.
Well, we'll put it out on the website, right?
Yeah.
Go to our neighboring schools, they have.
It'll be out, yeah, we'll get it out.
Just slowly start using it.
I'll use I'll put it on my Friday flyer staff, I'll get it, and then we'll start introducing it, and it'll become a language out there.
On the
Okay,
chips.
what you really need is this new mission statement. It needs to be, it's very, very important. It needs to be presented to the faculty in a group, to let them discuss it, and all their questions, so they really understand.
That's what we do at our next
Not just put it in a
in-service,
publication. Okay, I thought you were saying we just publish it. It needs a lot. Congratulations to the board, because many corporations and companies and organizations spend thousands and thousands of dollars a year of consultant time to come up with, and then they pay them hundreds of thousands. They come up with a mission.
Well, good thing we hired Troy.
What's that?
I would like to negotiate a contract.
Too late. All let's do is as a side.
Yeah, all of it is at the side.
Can we back up to board goals?
Yes.
Because Jerry had talked about doing something for the staff.
Can we
Go ahead, Jeff.
go with one other thing here off this sheet? The last one says our guiding principle, students first all the time. And Jerry talked about the student promise, keeping students first in everything we do.
Okay.
I think that is important because that speaks to the students. So do you want to think about adopting something like that? Do you want to think about it another month? Do you like one of those? Student promise or guiding principle, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, we're still under discussion, mission, vision, so this falls under that, yes.
Do you want to discuss it? I'll move, I will move right now.
For which one?
For which?
Our guiding principle, student first all the time. If you want to adopt it, I'll do it, but.
Keeping students first in every, keeping students
Dick,
first
you want to
in
talk
everything.
about it more, or should we just get after it?
Students first all the time or keeping students first in everything we do are kind of the same thing, but they're a little bit different.
I think you had to add something like that, because we have to take into consideration too, the staff and everyone else, and, you know, their personal needs. And, you know, sometimes you just say, everything we do is.
Well, what happens is if you develop this as your guiding principle, your student promise, that's the core of what we are about. So that means that all the staff have to agree that the students are first in everything we do. So that means that I can't even begin to tell you how important that is. In my previous life, we had a patient person. That was hugely powerful amongst the staff, because all their actions were directed to the patients. Just like here, all the actions of every staff, whether it's a housekeeper, whether it's the dietary, whether it's directed towards keeping the students first.
I apologize, Dick, I didn't understand if you were for that or didn't like that.
I like students, keeping students first, but also having, and then something about considerations for staff. I mean,
So
we're gonna vote tonight on 2 maternity leaves, okay? So I mean, I can see that where, and both of them are explained, I think the letters that were sent to the board, provide, the course of action that would keep the educational process going, these people are going to be absent. But I think it's also a very important thing to realize that we have students first in consideration of our staff.
But can I
But I
have a
don't
comment on
think we
that,
can serve
sir?
too much, we either is. I mean, we can be supportive of our staff, but I think what we should make our decisions, even in these FMLA requests, we have to grant them, but we can't do what's best.
We know life happens and we have that, but what we want is when people are thinking about what they're doing in their daily job around here is, all right, I'm going to do something, I'm putting the students first in my decision.
Right.
We know someone's going to take maternity leave or paternity
We have no
leave.
problem with
That's okay. What we're talking about is in your daily operations around here, I'm going to do something. Is this best for kids? Yes, and I'm going to carry it out.
Because if you don't keep the staff in mind and focused, you're not keeping your promise to the students. Because you need a great staff in order to have
The staff is
But
struggling.
Dick, here's how I would say it. We are setting this up for the organization, not the school board, the organization. So this is a guiding principle, and our organization includes all our great staff. And that's what we're saying, here's your vision, your mission, and here's our guiding principle as the staff. Separately, the organization needs to take care of their staff so they stick around and take care of the benefits, which, by the way, we've been doing it very well with. So that's the difference, right? It's not saying, this is how we evaluate our people. This is, we want our people to embody these principles. That's an interpretation that's quite, I understand, I mean, that's a little different than, we're not discarding the staff. We need the staff to do the mission, vision,
But
and our
it's
guidance.
going to be our guiding.
Right. And also because what follows, what we haven't even touched yet, is the organization needs to develop a series of objectives which supports everything we just put together to make sure that we're keeping the mission statement, or keeping the patient, and the student promise and the vision, which we then grade with the directions. So like, if that, one of the objectives would be employee turnover, and well, but the goal is that we want to have a turnover rate of X%. Doesn't mean that all hell breaks loose if it goes over it. It raises questions if you are under it, which is good too. But that sometimes we do such goals too. But so I mean, there's all this stuff actually then transcends down into a whole series of objectives and strategic objectives, which are going to support the mission statement and vision. And you just don't pass and say we all feel good about it. Now you've got to.
It would seem to me that staff generally would always want to do the best thing for the student when they're here teaching in the school day. Do you think adopting a guiding principle like that takes something away from the staff? Has the staff thinking that we are not considering their personal needs or their personal time, or?
I never got that, I would never get that impression.
I think it's a mindset, right? Students first, all the time.
We're good
Yeah.
with kids.
No question.
I don't know. I think
reaffirming
it doesn't
to
matter
staff
if
that
you're
they're
a cook, a
working at the
teacher,
right
an
place.
aide, a bus driver.
Something like this
Right.
reaffirms,
Whatever your role
based on what
is.
you're saying, it reaffirms their belief. I'm
Doesn't
here
mean
to
the students
teach
get
my
everything
kids.
they want. It just means
Well, no, you definitely don't
Decisions.
give kids all everything they want because they don't make wise choices.
That
right?
might
We're
not
trying
be
to
the best thing for them.
that's right.
No.
So, you want to think about this another month? Do you want to make a motion now?
Move to approve our guiding principle, students first all the time.
Second.
Further questions, discussion? Hearing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Okay, so the administrative team will take this back, clean it up, make it pretty. Talk to the staff about it in their January in service, so they.
We'll do something before that, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so, then Mr. Ward suggested that maybe in recognition and thanks to the staff for the great efforts resulting in the state report card, that you do something.
I love a luncheon celebration where staff can come in during, am I allowed to speak there? I'm sorry, I jumped in on that. But doing something where we have a celebration of appreciation for them through a luncheon and acknowledging that, I think is a tremendous gesture for acknowledging the incredible accomplishments to where they're at, what they've done.
Would that be like during their school day, or how would we?
Yeah, during their school day, so when it's their lunch hour, they can come in and maybe, if we had, with the food, we would have maybe a banner or maybe a cake, something that.
Okay, so there'd be a window where the food's available, and then as the needs of staff free up for their lunch period, because I'm sure there's a certain window, you guys know that, I don't know, and, okay.
And maybe
Yeah,
have
you
the
felt like
food,
10:30 to 1 o'clock.
have the food in here.
Yep, it'd be really great.
Is there a day you guys are interested in?
And
Would you like
I think if
to
any
be
board
part of
members are available,
Pardon?
and I think if any board members are available at that time, to make
Do you have a
themselves.
day you'd be interested in? Is there a day in your schedules that would work?
What's the day before the Thanksgiving?
It's Tuesday the 22nd.
Or the day, we have school, then the 23rd?
No, it's no school that day. Next week's a 2-day.
Maybe that's a little short. That's maybe a little short
If you want to get a
notice.
banner together or something like that.
Let's see, you look at maybe the 28th maybe? Because you don't want to get too close to Christmas, because we also.
When does Christmas vacation start?
Christmas vacation starts on, we're here on session on Friday the 23rd, and the administrative team is already providing a buffet for the staff on the 21st that week. And you don't want to combine this with Christmas, because Christmas is Christmas. This is something special that we should get sooner than later.
I think the sooner you do this, the better, because it just came out. And my other suggestion, and it's just an idea, might it be a good time to maybe have the new vision and mission kind of posted somewhere so they can see it, and they can ask questions about it, and then, if this is something that's important, then this would be a great time to get everybody's attention to it.
So you want to.
The only ones I'd like to, except lunch isn't a great time for that. I'd want to make sure we have staff meeting or something ahead of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden they come and there's a banner saying, hey, this is your new mission statement.
My concern, first,
Yeah.
fully supported, by the way. Typically, when we've discussed this in the past, we've always come up with, everyone's so darn busy, that it's tough. So even, how many staff members,
They all eat
have
lunch.
something going on for their lunch?
How many don't?
No, they're all eat lunch.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
eat lunch.
Some will come and eat in here for the whole time, some will grab a plate and go back to
Go right
their
to
room.
their room.
But everyone, if you have, and someone will be absent that day, but if you have it on, I'm just gonna throw out Tuesday the 29th, because I wouldn't do it on Monday, because people will forget to bring their lunch from home and go, oh, But on Monday, say, hey, remember tomorrow's luncheon, I would just have it that day, and they'll just appreciate the fact that lunch is there, and if they're absent or have a meeting or something, they don't, they'll be just happy it's there.
Tuesday, the 29th?
Have a banner meeting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
29th at what time?
I don't know what time lunches are.
If the window's big enough, they can grab something during
We
the
just have
prep
to
period
approve
if
it
they don't
and
have
Totally.
lunch.
The admin team will take care of getting the luncheon ordered, enough food and everything, but I want to know what day you guys are available, so some of you can be here from 10:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock. Because that'll cover the lunch shift for everybody.
Could I also, because this is a big deal, this is Is this a board sponsored lunch? Like, this is the board telling you?
Yeah, it's coming from you guys. The lunch is from the board.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why I'd like somebody present on the 29th. I mean, we're gonna eat too. but-
Candy's gonna have to make the beans.
I'm gonna get through churros fast that morning, right?
Okay, so the Tuesday, the 29th.
Does that work? If you can stop in that day.
Sorry, what time?
10:30 is the first lunch that the staff members have.
Okay.
And we'll tell like bus drivers that if they want to come and eat during that day, or our second shift custodians, that's when the lunch is. Come on in if you want to come in. Some will say thank you, some will come in, some will say, no, I'm not, you know, I got other errands run at the time, but so at least we appreciate to be invited.
When do the faculty get the scores?
They just got let go yesterday, so they'll find out on my Friday flyer. Some of them have probably already seen on the news.
So do we have the ability here to make banners in the?
I just checked, yes, you know, somebody, a
We
family.
have I think a family that would do that. So I can pass along that name.
Okay, so we want a banner, and food, and a cake.
10:30 to 1.
10:30 to 1.
Does work for me.
Huh?
Oh, we can vote on the flavor.
Let's do that.
Great.
That is, I mean, really, that is stupendous. This school. That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
I always worry if I'm hearing all that stuff.
You're talking too quiet.
All right, I think we've accomplished a lot of our business, so we'll move on unless somebody has something else under those items. Thanks for your work on that, everyone. We don't have anything agended under legislative. You all know what happened in the elections. You can think about that how you want to. Is there a motion to approve Mr. Schleitz's time off?
Move to approve request time off for Mr. Kyle Schleiss.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And for Stephanie Air,
Move to request time off for Ms. Stephanie Air.
Second.
questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then we have the resignation of a special education aide, Ben Bauman.
Move to accept the resignation of special education aide Ben Bauman.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Ms. Markgraf, did you want to?
I just have, I want to add something after the, I don't have a discussion. I just want to give you some information about Ben. Is this the time?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
So Mr. Ballman is a professional musician. We've talked about him before. He is playing on Friday night over at the Institute Saloon from 4 to 5 to thank Sevastopol for everything that he has, that we have done for him. So if you're not doing anything, from 4 to 5, he's going to set up all of his equipment in the dance in the hall, and he's going to put on a live performance for Sevastopol staff. So we put up kind of posters for him. We gave each staff member tickets, you know, so we're hoping for a turnout because it could be, I mean, it's just an hour. So if you're not doing anything and you want to, you know, come listen to some live music.
I think you got to have some entertainment. I think Mr. Phelps, Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Hood should dance.
The music's good. And you ought to know Ben Bauman's stage name is Ben Harold.
Yes.
Just so
So
you
you'll
hear
see
Ben
it
Harold's
everywhere.
playing, it's Ben Bauman, it's one you
Yeah.
sing.
So it'll be really fun. So if you can.
Is he a one-man band? or-
No, he has.
It's gonna be acoustic.
It's just going to be him. He's got all of his
Unplugged.
equipment, but he does have a band.
So he sings and plays?
Oh, yeah. He's pretty incredible. He's a recording artist. He's got stuff out there. He plays at Summerfest. So, I know. Who knew, right?
Special ed aide here at Sevastopol.
Okay,
I will sacrifice.
very good.
Right here. Right here.
I didn't know.
So if you can go to that sounds like fun. And then we have the resignation of Tanya Hasnier as middle school cross-country coach.
Move to approve the resignation of middle school cross-country coach Tanya Hasenager.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And that concludes our regular business for the evening. I'll look for a motion to convene to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, the second roll call vote, Keith.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried at 8:57 p.m. Okay, we are back in open session at 9:16 p.m. and I'll look for a motion on the high school track and field coach.
I make a motion to approve the hiring of Mindy Vanderhoof as high school track and field assistant.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On the motion on the high school special education aide.
Move to approve the hiring of the high school special education aide, Mary Laughlin.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so we have, our next regular meeting is on December 21st. We have the staff. Pardon?
We already did the bus report.
No.
We're not going to take action
I'll
on
bring
that.
that next month, but I have a candidate.
We have the staff recognition luncheon on Tuesday, the 29th. And then, is there a staff holiday party this year?
Yes,
Or are we?
the wellness committee and the Christmas party committee are working on a party. They decided to have it either the end of January, January 28th, or February 11th. They thought the holidays, this year, December is really quick because there's only
Okay.
3 weeks in December, so they wanted to get it in.
So it'll be something off-site?
Off-site, they're looking at a venue and menu right now, and they're working on it.
Okay.
And that'll be one of those 2 weekends. And
So there's no luncheon or anything here at school before?
all the administrative team's going to do lunches for Christmas on the 21st for the staff of December, but we're going to do this one for the report card on the 29th. So that's-
Okay.
And then Christmas concerts are Sunday, December 18th at 2 o'clock is the middle school, high school band and choir concert. On Monday the 19th at noon is the grades 2 through 5 Christmas concert with the senior citizen lunch afterwards. And then the performance for parents for grades 2 through 5 is at 6 p.m. that night on the 19th. And then on the 20th, 4K, 5K, and first grade will perform at 1:45, and parents can take their children home right after the performance. It'll go on Howard and school ends. So that's what's going on for Christmas.
Did they find a flatbed trailer yet for the band?
I know they,
The band marches in the Thanksgiving Day Parade
Jacksonport.
in Jacksonport.
I don't know, that's not my problem.
And they're looking for a trailer instead.
I don't know, I haven't heard, I don't know. I'm gonna let the band worry about that.
Parade, Thanksgiving parade in Jacksonport.
Well, and it's that benefit, they collect a lot of money every year for some targeted person or
Good
family
cause.
in need.
Yeah.
It's a parade you see twice, no matter where you're sitting.
Yep.
I don't know about the thing. Building and grounds committee, we should have a meeting here. What works for you gentlemen?
Last week of November.
Okay, so we do the 28th.
Oh, 28th, you can come for lunch and then.
Yeah. we can plan that.
We could have it right after the lunch if that happens.
Yeah, I like that, 29,
29th at 1 o'clock?
sure. Free lunch, I mean, around lunch.
No,
Is that okay?
is it 29th, is that?
Make a day out of
Tuesday
it.
the 29th.
No.
It's a school board.
Oh,
That's a
I'm
school
sorry,
board budget.
you're in November, I'm in November, so.
Yeah, November 29th.
Send me an email.
Okay, 1 o'clock, so we do that?
What did you say the senior citizen lunches?
The 19th.
Did you just show up?
Of December.
Show up, Jerry.
You show up at noon and see the
You gotta,
concert.
you should call and give, you should call and give
19th of
a heads up so
December.
they know
The
you're
19th of December?
At noon will be the concert. You go to the concert, then you come down here for a meal.
But call ahead so they know how many.
Right, because and it's surprising how many people don't call ahead, so it's really difficult for the kitchen staff.
How do the seniors know?
It's a
about
common
this?
courtesy.
If there's no other business, I'll take a motion to
I
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 9:20 PM.